Good morning, Opening Pathways viewers. This is Tom Lenoble, and I'm excited to be with you again. And I have an exciting guest for today. I have Gaby King-Morse with me today. She's the president and CEO of the Center for Women and Enterprise. Gabby, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Oh, Tom, thank you so much and good morning. Good morning to everybody. It's
Yes,
great to be here.
I need to know, and the viewers need to know for you to tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing. And I'd love to know what was the thing that sparked you to get involved with it.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot. So what we're doing, the Center for Women in Enterprise, we focus on women's economic empowerment through entrepreneurship. So that's the vehicle. Um, so we work with women. Our geographic focus is New England, and if a woman is looking to launch or grow her business, we are going to do everything we can to move away obstacles, support her with training and technical assistance, connect her to experts in her industry, but also connect her to markets. So there's multi-week classes, there's webinars, but then there's really that one-on-one, which can be so powerful, particularly when your business is up and running and you have that specific strategic challenge. Sometimes you just need 45 minutes with someone who can just unlock that next step. And then the other piece is really building community, bringing women business owners together, bringing women business owners together with buyers who are looking for their products, right? Really important. Um, but the big underlying thing of all of this is just building confidence and a supportive community. Because when you have that, you're gonna figure out how to take that next step. So that's really the underpinning of all of it.
Yeah, I love this. New and future entrepreneurs, listen up. There's going to be some wisdom here today from Gabby. So tell me, Gabby, when was there on this journey that you realized this is my path? This is what I need to be doing?
I've always been focused on economic empowerment, and I've been an entrepreneur. So I think those two things come together. But in my career, I guess the piece that has connected different my different pathways has been that everyone should have the opportunity to build their own economic independence. And that could be from a previous role focusing on affordable education, right? So making sure that an individual knows how to prepare to pay for college and really assessing risk, right? It's not so dissimilar for someone who's applying to college to really assess, you know, you're building your business, you're building you. The business is called you. And so I did that for 10 years, really focused on college affordability. And when I saw that this organization was looking for a leader to focus on women's economic empowerment through entrepreneurship, I thought, absolutely, absolutely, because this is the continuation. They may or may not have had the opportunity to go to college, but they still deserve every opportunity to build their next step. And that is a passion of mine, is really because it's not an equal playing field. And so can we really give them that piece that they're missing? It could just be a contact. That could be as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So let's do it. Let's just do it.
Yeah, I love this helping people follow their dreams. You and I've talked about this about my passion for things like first gen students and women's issues. And I love this idea of helping people realize things they've always wanted to do and find their way. And you're correct. Sometimes it takes the smallest thing to get people over what we perceive as not a big deal, but it's just a big baby step for them. So tell me, you know, I think we all have role models, somebody that when we were growing up had an influence on who we are today. And who is that for you?
Well, so there's a picture of someone who I have actually on my where the place where you have, I don't know, your hairbrush and your jewelry, whatever, maybe whatever it is, you're getting ready to go. And it is my grandmother, Maxine King. And Maxine King, who's no longer alive, but lived a very long and wonderful life, um, was a camp director up in Maine. And it, so she ran a business. And it wasn't just that she ran a business, it was the how. Because to me, the how is everything. You can be very successful. You can run a business that brings in a ton of money. Great. But how are the people around you feeling? And what is it that you are leaving them? And it's that piece of what's your legacy. But there's one thing she always said, which is, how can I hear what you're trying to tell me when what you're doing is ringing in my ears so loudly?
Ooh,
Right? And I think that's the key, is how are you doing your work? Not what you're saying. We all can, whatever you can, let's go into Chat GPT and create a rousing speech. But what are you doing, and how are you doing it? And how are you present with the person in front of you? And the other things about her, and I did have the opportunity to work with her and my mother actually for about 7 years. And I learned very different things from my mom. I don't want to leave her out. Her doing was really in the, boy, was she a good businesswoman, right? Like, Mackie was an inspirational leader, and my mother could do all of the tactical things. But the other thing about Mackie, I think, is that I guess I'm repeating myself. It's really the way she made me feel and the way she made the people feel around her, and that we were building this beautiful community. The piece that I aspire to, because and she did not come by, she came by this because of her upbringing, but boy, could she do an extemporaneous speech that would blow you off your feet, right? Again, that's not the how, but that's a really nice skill to have in your back pocket. So,
yeah.
beautiful. And I saw that as a kid. I was a camper, her speaking in front of the whole camp because, something silly, like found tons of candy in the bunks and we're not supposed to have candy, right? But she could talk about that would just hit you to your core about why this would affect the community and this was not what we all want. And, anyway, it's just a powerful thing to be able to take in your audience and really be able to communicate. um, that is an
Yeah.
incredible skill.
And I can see she clearly had an impact on your life, which is really great. So tell me this, on this journey, have you ever doubted your vision?
Oh my God, every day. It's 2025, Tom. um, I don't know if I'd call it doubt, but I think it's not so much doubt, because I think when you have a strong mission behind your work, the mission can be very clear, but are you using the best tools at your disposal at this moment to make that next step, right? And I think particularly in a time where a lot of the rules are changing, a lot of the context is changing, and you also have a lot of all of us, right, facing doubts for different reasons, right? Um, you got to wake up every morning and not necessarily question, but say, is this the right move today? Should I just do what I did yesterday? Is that what's going to work? I have this long to-do list. Is it prioritized correctly? Oh, maybe we need to move a couple of things because things are things are changing. And so I don't know if I guess I would say that's not doubt. What I've always felt is, just tell me the rules of the game and I will win.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
But the rules this year change could change twice in a day. And so I still believe that I can win if I know the rules, but I am spending much more time trying to figure out what the rules are.
Yes, yes. I'm sure you and many others right now in this space. How does Gabby determine when to pivot and when to push through?
Um, I feel like pivot is pushing through. I don't see the difference because if you have an inclination that the rules have changed and I think your best bet is to take that intuition and you probably need to tweak something. Um, and so pushing through in this moment, I think um, I think I wouldn't advise it. I would say if you really want to push through, get some folks in a room and just pressure test it. I would say pressure test it, throw it at them. And maybe the course that you're taking is the adjustment. Maybe that would, I don't want to say that it's a no, but don't do it blindly.
What was your biggest turning point so far? Was there something that happened that really set everything on course?
In terms of myself or my organization or
You can, I'll let you pick.
yeah, I mean, I have one. It's really interesting because it kind of comes back to camping and my grandmother and my mother, actually. Which is that I'm a camper through and through, and loved being a camper. And there's a lot about being a camp director that I absolutely adore. But I did feel, and it was a hard thing to figure out, not quite right working in the family business. Um, I felt like I was pretty young, and I felt there were so many different feelings about it, but I wasn't comfortable. There was something that didn't sit right. There's something that didn't sit right. And I can go, that could be a whole nother podcast, and that's not important, but it didn't sit right. Yet I absolutely love my mom and I absolutely love my grandmother and I love the work, sort of technically love the work. And probably the hardest turning point for me was making a decision to leave the family business, which felt like cutting off the umbilical cord in a lot of ways, and felt I mean, I think a lot of things are assessing risk. And for me personally, it felt like a huge risk. Even now looking back, it wasn't as big a risk as I had it in my head, right? Because you build up these things that I'll never find a job like this, or I'll never have the kind of independence I have, or I'll never this. But making that decision did two things. One is it really enabled me to start to like feel what directions I really wanted to go without the added layer of family, which honestly they weren't forcing me to do anything, but I was forcing myself to
Yeah.
into pretzels, right? So that was one thing. I really started to then build a career, which, I look back and I'm like, I could have been incredibly happy being a camp director in a bunch of different ways, but I never would have really trusted the decisions I had made. And I wanted to really trust my own decisions. And that was number one. But number two, and, this is just one of the pieces. And for any of you out there that work in a family business, um, you want to, you want your family back. I really love my family and I got them both back. I got everybody back. I got for my Thanksgivings to be my Thanksgivings and not, um, a meal that then we talk about work after having some turkey. And I got to share with them fun stories and they got to share with me fun stories. Um, and that's not insignificant. Like I particularly for my mom, like just getting my mom back as my mom, which is like a pretty, you know, it, assuming she's a good mom and I'm a good daughter, like there's nothing better,
Nothing better. I agree with you. Nothing
right?
better.
And I kind of, when you work for your mom, like it's a very different situation. Maybe if we'd had a great coach like you could have helped us through that. But like, so I gained two huge things that I think have served me through the rest of my career, which is that I have this incredibly supportive, fun, love my family, and has nothing to do with my career choices. I'm not going to disappoint them if I leave. I can ask my boss, I can negotiate for a raise without worrying about my, like it's amazing, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
I think that, and maybe it comes back to the mission of CWE. It's like when when you have a community and you can confidently move forward, yeah, you're gonna make mistakes too, but that's okay. You
yeah,
know, you, that's okay. And again, it's calculated risk taking. Like I don't want to assume for some folks that baby step could be genuinely risking a roof over their head, and so we have to take that into account. But it's also teaching them that, like, okay, yeah, you see all these entrepreneurs, or your decision to do this, there's more risk for you. Like that's genuine, and let's put that into the equation. And so don't beat yourself up if that's not a risk you want to take right now. So what other things do you need to put in place? That would be same for an entrepreneur as it is for a student taking on a student
yeah,
loan.
yes. Finding out what the baby steps are we're comfortable with, but just getting that first step out of the way sometimes is the beginning. So tell me this. What have you learned in the organization from those early days about trust?
Oh my gosh, what a great topic. Um, Huge. Um, I'm gonna forget who said it. Who's the guy who wrote "The World Is Flat"? I'm gonna forget his name. Maybe some of you remember. He's still very much actively writing for like.
The viewers will all look it up right now. So,
Go look it up because he's got some smarts. But he said, I saw him speak, and he said, trust is the only legal performance enhancing drug. And I think that's it in a nutshell. If your team trusts each other, and I've done a lot of work on trust actually, because one of my board members, you should look this up too, Ashley Reicheld, she's at Deloitte, and they actually measure trust. And I met her when I was thinking about a couple of things. If we work with a lot of women in underserved populations, right? Women of color, women who speak different languages, that is not me. I am the leader of the organization, right? And so building trust is not a small thing, nor should it be. So it was a huge focus. In fact, it's written in, that's one of our key um, goals is building trust in communities. And how do you do that, right? That's not an easy thing. And when I met Ashley, and I'm telling her this, she said, oh, well, I measure trust. So we did a lot of work. We actually measured trust with our clients, and you can sort of drill down on what are the pieces. And just very simply, and I won't go crazy about it, but trust has two main components, right? Which is that I know you have my best interest genuinely, right? And that's how we usually think of trust. But the other piece of trust, which we miss, is, and you will come through and deliver.
yes,
Now, if those two things are in place, you've got trust. You've got real trust. And the more you break it down, so for our leadership team, we've done a lot of work on trust because, again, um, performance enhancing drug. Let's bring it on. Let's build that. And we just read a 2-day retreat earlier this week, building trust. And one of the things we do is we do 360 feedback to each other in front of each other. We're a team
wow,
of 5. And that's not easy. It's not comfortable. And some people on my team, they'll honestly say to me, it's the worst thing that we have to do. And then at the end of it, they're like, this is so important
I
because
bet.
it's not just that I'm delivering, let's say I'm delivering to you, Tom, feedback about how, hey, when you went to my colleague to give feedback that you're like, how do I give feedback to Gabby and didn't come straight to me. And then I heard it through that person that was really tough and didn't help me trust that you would come to me because I want to hear it because I want to be better for the team, right? And the rules of the 360 are I'm going to give you feedback because it's going to make the team stronger. That's why, because I care about the performance of the team and I know we can do better. And those, I've been doing it for 15 years. Some of my teammates a little bit less, right? It becomes much less scary, but it also helps us to have accountability within the team. So if I can share that feedback to you in front of I don't know, let's call him Harry. Harry's over here, and Harry says, "Oh, you know what? Tom did that to me too." Now I actually can talk to Tom about it because Gabby opened it up, and Tom took it so well, and it's not such a big deal. And I'm going to talk to him the next time I see him, and it speeds up that trust piece. I would say a challenge for me as a leader is that next rung out. So building trust in my immediate team, I feel very comfortable. Helping them build trust with their teams has been more of a challenge, and I guess my current management leadership challenge. And I've seen us get stronger and better outside, but there's always work to do. Like once you declare success on that, you're cooked. Like no,
That's it.
right?
You're on to the next one, right?
No, but yeah, you can't. That's an art and a science, and you have to keep doing it. And every person that comes into your realm changes the dynamic. But you also can't assume that feedback session 2 years ago is still top of mind. You have to keep doing it, and as much in the moment as possible.
Yes. Yes. It reminds us also of our humanness. Gabby, tell me something. What personal values do you live by?
Forever, I've been cause no fear. Cause no fear. Now, I can't always control that because when you're the CEO, just walking to a room sometimes can cause fear. Like there's nothing, but to the best of your ability, if you don't need to create fear on top of everything else. And honestly, we're in a world where it seems to be that's what our national leadership is telling us. Fear is what works. Create the fear, you're going to get results. And but honestly, one of the key mantras in my leadership is create no fear. Um, and really, I hope in all of my realms, because it's so easy to create fear. You get angry, you throw things out, but how can I deliver the same information and not have that person have fear? Because it's sort of like the stress. When you're the statistics around poverty. When you're poor, you can't think straight. Like that's a human thing. And so if I create fear, if I have something I really need someone to change their behavior, or I really need to make sure they know about something that genuinely is a threat, for me to pour on top of that just random fear, good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to give you a challenge or I need you to step up, I always say I am not throwing you out there without a net. I am absolutely here because we're going to do this. It's your responsibility, but I'm here. You can ask me questions. And by the way, if it doesn't work, we're in this together, right? So it's also, oh man, the more you can not have finger pointing,
Absolutely.
because you want your team to take risks. And that's the thing, right? All of us across the country, we're not taking risks. We're so scared.
Yeah, I
And
love this.
we need to
Yeah.
take risks. And the only
I,
way that folks feel like they can take risk in general, some people will take risks no matter what, great. But really, for most of us, it's I've got a team, and when I fall, they're going to help dust me off, pick me up, assume best intent, and help me to be better.
yeah, I
And
love the yeah, this is great wisdom for people. I think I speak with a lot of leaders and they forget what that just no matter how close they think they are and what they've built, they forget that their title has energy and means something. And it's really important. And I love this idea of creating no fear. And I believe I'm a believer that risk and resilience are like a muscle. Just like we exercise our tricep and bicep, we can exercise risk and resilience and have it grow and become stronger. And it's so important. And I love that you're sharing this wisdom with the viewers. So tell me this. I'm interested in knowing when the stakes are high, how does Gabby make a decision?
Well, assuming you have an amazing leadership team, okay. There's two things I do. I have two incredible teams actually. You need to have I work in a nonprofit, but even for-profits have boards. When you're making a huge decision for the organization, um, depending, right? If it's complete, let's just say, if it needs board input, my executive committee, I can bring them together. They are extraordinary in sharing wisdom and helping me assess the risks, but the decision is mine, which is also rare. For maybe it's not so rare, but it should be expected. It should be expected, and that's the board you want to build. But usually when I come to them, what I've already done is I've brought my leadership team together and I put it out there. And then, this is a Brene Brown thing, rumbling, right? Let's get into a fight here. Like, I want us we're all the devil. And I don't care if you're finance or you're measurement and impact, you're running the program, your operations. Like, you're getting into it right now because you have something's going on in your gut, and you also know something I don't know from your seat, right? And but here's the thing: it's not consensus. I am making the decision, so that's clear. Particularly the very those very, very key ones. But over time, building trust, I'm going to listen, and my team has seen me, and this wasn't theater. They've seen me change my position based on what I hear. There's stuff I don't know. How can you, right? But it's a tight team. If we really need more information, usually you don't. If you really have a team that covers the whole organization, but sometimes they may say, I need to go to my team. I just need to get temperature read on XYZ. Okay, good. Can we meet tomorrow? Yeah, I can do that. I can meet with them. I'm going to get this back. But most of the time, it's enough that you have your leadership, and particularly when you have to make a quick decision, and then you make a decision, and the rules are, again, doesn't mean you got to work with your team. The rules are, once the decision is made, we are all on board and we're all responsible. So I never feel like this is really true. I never feel like I'm making a mistake where then I have to drag the organization with me, because
Yeah.
that's not the rules of the game.
Good, 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 good. Tell
So,
me, what are you most proud of? Not publicly, but personally.
um, I mean, definitely proud of leading my family business. That's not a small thing. And for anyone who needs help in that, I think there's great professionals to help with that. I don't think that's a small thing. I'm very, very proud of it. Um, I think another thing I'm really proud of. Well, both me and my husband are artists in different ways. My husband's a visual artist, and I do music, and maybe it's really making sure that there's clear delineation between work and the rest of your life. But it doesn't mean they don't come together sometimes. But I think it's making commitments outside of work, and really, because that just, and that shows up. I mean, I think I'm proud of it because it brings me joy. It probably makes me a much better worker during the day. And it's not easy, but I think it's not easy, right? There's no such thing as balance, really. But that um, I guess I'm proud of the other things I have. It's a weird thing to say proud. I'm not sure if it's proud, but I feel really blessed that I've had the opportunity to develop these other pieces, because um, even though, like, there's delineation between the two, you bring one into the other. like no matter
Yeah,
how much you, and so having those other pieces, I think, help a lot when maybe in one realm or the other, the rules are changing very quickly.
yeah.
Um,
Good,
so
good. How do you balance being a leader versus a learner?
they're the same. If you don't model learning in front of your staff, in front of your team, um, and some people call that vulnerability. I just call that honesty and transparency. um, and also for me, if I'm not learning, I am extraordinarily bored. That's not going to last very long. And so, in 2025, right, there's been a lot of pain points, I think, for many organizations, for profit and nonprofit. Um, I did learn that when needed, we have a strategic plan. It's a 3-year strategic plan, but when you have to let go of half your staff, your ability to make choices is super enhanced by your strategic plan, and you can actually make them much quicker. We made them much quicker than I thought we could make them. Now, did I want to do that quickly? It was a little painful, there's no doubt. So I'm not saying I would recommend it if we didn't have to, but it's possible, right? That 3-year plan could have been maybe a little bit shorter, because we kind of, in a weird way, when you lose federal funding, which is something that happened with our organization, but we were able to then make a quick decision together because we had some guardrails and some already pretty clear unified strategy, and we were able to do it. So I'm forgetting exactly the question, but I think that's learning, right? That's learning. I
Yeah,
don't want to lose that. There's so much learning that I don't want to lose. I don't want to lose the learning from previous organizations of what went well and what didn't.
I want to learn every day. I like to say on my last breath, I'm going to be learning something, I hope. So tell me, what's the boldest vision for the organization for the next 5 years?
Um, so let me tell you sort of the easy part, and then I'll tell you the bold part. The easy part um, is that every year we're going to get better at what we do and have higher impacts for the women we serve, so that their businesses move in the direction of their vision, right? Which may not be hockey stick growth, right? But that we are helping them move the organization in the direction of their vision. And every year, because we are very dedicated to data, using data and learning from that and iterating, right? So we will get better and better and better. And so we will stay there. The big, big vision is that we can start using that learning and create a community of practice and learning across the country, at least, to focus on underserved communities, building, like women building businesses. Because when I came into this industry or into this mission, I said, send me all the best practice, send me the research. What do we do really well? What do we need to do better? And the long and short of it is, it's not unique to the sector, to this sector, or there's other sectors like it. But in the arena of women in particular, like, there's a lot of data that just doesn't exist, either because it hasn't been disaggregated by gender, or there hasn't been a specific focus, or, oh, a side hustle, that's not a real company. Well, that side hustle is sending a lot of people to college. So, like, we're going to actually study the hell out of it. So I want to elevate the use of data for helping women's economic empowerment in the United States. And that's the big differentiator. That's the big, hairy, audacious goal, because there's a ton of data and information and knowledge internationally, and we don't want to not use that. We're not going to reinvent those wheels. But that means we need to create a community where we can start saying, you know what? It's not exactly the same, I understand, but there are emerging economies in the U.S. In fact, unfortunately, probably more than ever. So let's look at it the way the UN has looked at international development, and let's really understand how to build communities. And we know internationally that usually we focus on women. We know that. We have no question with that. But in the United States, we don't think about it at all.
Yes.
So we're going to change that narrative. Like, you're going to wake up in the morning and say, I got $10 to invest in my community. I'm going to invest in a woman. That makes sense, right? Because we all
Yeah.
know that we can do that internationally. So that's the big, hairy, audacious goal.
Well, you know I'm a believer. So I have a question for you. What are you most hopeful about in the world today?
I'm, I mean, this is very cliche, but I'm very hopeful about the next generation that's coming up. Um, I think I am learning every day, but I grew up in a system and I followed the system's rules and I did what was laid out for me to be successful. I question all of that now. I question it all. And I have two kids, one's 18, one's 21, and to see their genuine curiosity, and they are not necessarily right. It's a mix, but if they choose something that I completely don't understand, and that certainly is happening, I'm like, this is really good. This is really important because the path that I have taken and most of my, generation is part of why we're here now. And this is a very tough moment. And so
Yeah.
I'm really excited. And so, like, if my son or daughter recommends that I read a particular book, I am reading that book. And it's amazing. It's amazing the things I'm learning. I won't go into it, but like, I feel like that's my part of my
Yeah.
learning is really being a learner of what are these folks in their, let's say 18 to 30, what are they thinking about, and
It's
and how are they incorporating what they see, and really trying to incorporate that into my own thinking.
Yeah, I have a podcast launching today that I did with a group of Gen Z folks, and I love younger generations. It's been one of my passions, and really fortunate to do it throughout my career. And it was so refreshing to see how much and they're thinking about and the way they're thinking about it. And I think each generation has been able to do that and get some labels on it. But when you bust those away and really look at what's going on, people are trying to find their way. And I was just so impressed with how bright they were and some of the things they were wanting to do in the world today. As crazy as it is at times to feel that that was happening, I left feeling kind of, we're going to be okay. So tell me this, Gabby, if you could offer some words of wisdom for somebody getting ready to start on the path to leading a nonprofit, what would you share with them?
I think it's similar to starting a business, right? It's like you have the product that you're super passionate about. Great. Focus on everything else until you've got that under your belt, right? Because you're running a business and you think you're not, I think, at first, particularly when you haven't been running a nonprofit, but like, you need to get your finances in order. You need to have a not just a theory of change for your mission. You need a theory of money.
Yeah.
How is money going to come in? And it's more flexible than you think. Um, so, what are all the different resources you can use? And I'm a huge believer that your board, before you form a board, honestly, um, do a strategic plan, even if it's a mini, even if it's just what are we gonna do for the next 6 months? And it's a try before you buy. So bring in, there's no easier ask for someone than, would you just spend 4 90-minute sessions with me over 4 months or whatever, or over a month, to help me get this thing that I am absolutely passionate about off the ground, right? And you pick those people carefully, and they are not your friends. They are people that you think they may be your friend, but they are someone that you think brings a particular uh, view of the world or experience that can really just, and you are open, right? So let's say you have 10 to 20 people help you with this. By the end of that process, not only will you have a wonderful plan, you will know who's on your board.
Yes, yes.
And that is critical because I think very often when we launch nonprofits, we start with people who just love what we're saying and want to jump on board. But that's not, you're going to spend a lot of time transitioning your board to those more strategic people. And also look for people who do have means. Like, I don't want to, you can't shy away from them. So, who has a strategic angle that's going to help you with the plan and actually has the ability to support you financially or connect you to money? And you can be really honest about that because you're building a business. Don't hide that. So we need to get over money. We need to get
Yeah.
comfortable that money makes the mission happen. It does don't so you're gonna have to really stop judging the money, which is not easy in this world, right? But the money is gonna make the mission happen. So you need to figure out how that's gonna work, and your board is a huge piece of figuring out that puzzle.
That's a quote, Gabby. The money's going to make the mission happen. I think you need to do something with that. So, Gabby King Morse, I'm so grateful for you being on Opening Pathways today. Tell my viewers where they can find you, a little bit about the organization and how they can.
Sure. Well, you can always connect with me on LinkedIn. Just, put in, I heard you on Tom's podcast. Love to connect, and that would be really helpful. I think because of the title of my organization, I get a crazy amount of people reaching out to me, but they think that I am a for-profit business, and so there's just a lot of people that reach out that I'm not necessarily connecting to. The other ways you can email me, GK Morse at cweonline.org. And then the Center for Women in Enterprise is www. Gosh, it's so funny. I'm like, did we spell it out? It's CWE. Let's look at me. CWE Online. So it's www.cweonline.org. So we weren't able to get the whole, but that's how you can get me.
Perfect, perfect. Gabby, thank you for being here today. I'm so grateful you joined us on Opening Pathways.
Oh, thanks, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Yes. And to my viewers, this is Tom Lenoble, and I'll see you next time.